Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. This episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by the 40th annual Death Eater Halloween Party, celebrating the anniversary of the night when Harry Potter became an orphan. I mean, those were the good old days, right, Allan? I mean,
Why would you celebrate the beginning of the end?
Hey, they didn't know any better. They thought it was a night of victory, not knowing it was a night of torment and like you said, suffering and.
No, that was a chili cooking contest, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, and anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our special guest, and Maximilian behind the glass. I can't leave him out. And our special guest, we've got Tyler Oswald from Nerd Alert. Hey, Tyler, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
We've talked to you before. Those who live in Memphis, it behooves you, I would say, if you're a fan of 80s console game, or what is it, retro arcade gaming, right, Brandon? Don't roll your eyes as I make mistakes.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just I call them video games.
Video game and also kitschy horror.
I was an arcade rat, so you know.
Yeah, you run Nerd Alert.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you look like you do too, man. People, for those that can't see, he and his wife are hardcore nerds, right? I mean,
yeah, we don't mess around. I mean, I've been in the arcade since I was a baby, and I've been collecting them since the 90s. So my collection has gotten too big to be contained, and I need to share it with the public.
Yeah, all of us have our collective. You know, we're addicted to certain things. Some people have to have the latest pop figure. Some people, like Allan, have to have the latest, I don't know what, monster, whatever, vampire type thing. Well, you collect these old 80s giant cabinets that, man, that's a pretty expensive collection. I mean, that's
it's getting there. I'm arcade game rich right now. So I just recently took a trip out to Little Rock to pick up a new game, and I just put it in it's NBA Jams.
Nice.
The only sports game I will ever play, because I'm not a sports guy.
Right.
But it was made by the guys who made Mortal Kombat, so it's got a little different flavor than other sports games.
Yeah. So
there's also just something awesome about a 2-on-2 game with giant heads and flaming balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, hey, so we're going to be talking to you today, Tyler.
If you know, you know, and we know that Joe don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so Tyler, we're going to be talking about that because we want to talk about Nerd Alert, but we also want to talk about what Nerd Alert's going to be doing at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. You're going to have a heavy footprint there, sir, right? I mean, we're excited, so stay tuned for that, you guys. We're going to do an MCFC update. I'm sort of staring daggers at Brandon because he threw me for a curve. I thought we were all prepared to do a Dune spoiler-heavy review, and one of us hasn't seen Dune.
No, I don't. I'm not worried about spoilers, though, Joe. I read the books. I've seen the original movie. I've seen the sci-fi miniseries. Bring it on. I'm not worried about spoilers.
Okay. Well, then maybe we'll do a Dune PSA or something. Well, I don't.
You can totally ruin the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the guy who can sit down and watch Phantom Menace and still forget that Darth Maul's in there till he shows up.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, maybe we could do that real quick then, because we also, Allan, I know it's Halloween weekend. You're going to want to talk about that too. So real quick, Max, you've seen Dune, right? So.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what's that? I thought you liked the movie.
No, you just kind of got me on the spot.
Okay. So, Brandon, here's what I will say. It's always nice when you see something kind of fresh and new. I know this is an old book, Allan, but the way there were so many little details about this that the acting was great. The characters are cool. Let's just say they're not afraid to kill off main characters.
Yeah, it's
like everyone.
Well, Frank Herbert did not have a problem with killing his darlings.
Nope,
he did not in the slightest. We have finally an unblinking look. You know, Arrakis is always dry. The Harkonnens are always wet. We also got I'm going to go back to David Lynch. You had the pomposity of constantly talking about how great the Harkonnen army was. And now that we've had 300, and we knew the Spartans were nuts.
Right.
We have now met Spartans in space. They're even more nuts.
Yeah.
So, you know, now you understand why they were so pompous about, you know, the unbeatable Harkonnen army.
Right.
And Jason Momoa got to demonstrate what a just total, bad mamma jamma he really is. Beautiful scenery.
I would say every character was perfectly cast, and what caught my attention too were some of the different. I would say not just the music. The music set the mood in a really interesting way, but even background sound details or things like the way their radios sounded when they're talking to the mining company or whatever. Everything about it was very new and fresh, and I'm glad to see that, man. It's and it hits on a lot of themes that overlap with fantasy and sci-fi and classic literature,
and the classics, and they were all making a statement when this book was written.
Yeah, so we can't recommend it highly enough. It's absolutely outstanding. Believe the hype. It's great, and I was the most skeptical of all of us.
You were right. You were.
In fairness, I have to throw myself under the bus. So anyway, so that'll be it. Maybe once Brandon's seen it, we'll unpack a little more. But you're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then it's Halloween weekend. Let's talk about it.
Geek Tank Radio.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yep, truer words were never spoken. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Tyler Oswald from Nerd Alert. It's 1061 Cooper Street, right near the historic Cooper Young district.
Indeed.
I don't know if it's historic, notorious, maybe
hysterical,
noteworthy Cooper Young district.
No, you can call it historic.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty epic.
Hey, we're talking about Halloween real quick. I just want to do a quick PSA. If Brandon, I guess I am kind of a hypocrite because I watched Dune on HBO Max because I didn't have time to get to the movies. I probably will still see it in the theaters, but I re-upped my renewed my subscription for HBO Max. Well, while I was over there, I hadn't seen Batman: The Long Halloween yet because I was a little sour on the latest DC animateds. They've been hit or miss for me.
A lot of them have just come across as just cheap and let's throw this out here real quick. The animation's bad. The voice acting ain't that great.
Yeah,
and which is really bad because we've been fans of the animated stuff forever. It's like every time
everyone they put out was great.
Every time there was a new animated DC feature, we jumped on it like as quick as humanly possible.
Well,
and then we kind of got into this what I refer to as the late stage New 52. It's like the only decent voice is Cyborg.
Yeah.
Everybody else either comes across as too pompous or I'm reading from my bathroom and I just don't care about the emoting.
And send me my paycheck. Well, anyway, they've totally restored or renewed themselves with Batman: The Long Halloween Parts 1 and 2. People, if you have not seen this is some of it might be my favorite. I think Mask of the Phantasm is still my favorite, but this is right up there. This has to be one of the best ones I've seen. It's full of what I call fundamental Batman.
It really is.
Like nuts and bolts, what makes Batman cool.
And I've got to give severe props to Jensen Ackles for actually being able to pull off the young Bruce Wayne. The I'm not quite too cynical yet. I'm not just all the time Batman. It really came across really good.
You know what stood out to me? Have you seen The Long Halloween?
I have not, no.
Oh, Tyler, you got to get with it, man. You're okay.
He's too busy playing video games.
Well,
or building video games.
What stood out to me, and I think Max, you saw it too. And what I thought, among other things, I liked how he didn't talk much.
Yeah,
he was a man of few words, like he's supposed to be. He doesn't go on these big speeches and stand on a soapbox. That's Batman works in the shadows.
And I was telling you too, Joe, one thing I like about Batman in this is when he does talk, I love how personally he addresses criminals. Like he talks like Maroni, like it's like he knows these people and it's just like, a noir cop talking to a criminal.
Yeah, and it's definitely got that noir feel. Everything about it, the animation is top notch. The music they got right. And even some of the cut, like the style of the shots they use was really different. So I'm hoping this is a trend. I hope they keep this going.
Well, I mean, with this one, they did want to try and capture the style of the Long Halloween as close as they could, and still make it traditional animation to where you'd get your mainstream audiences as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, if you haven't seen it yet and you have HBO Max, throw down and watch it.
Yeah,
it's worth it. If you prefer to wait until you've got it on physical media, both Blu-rays are available, and I am sure that just like they did with Dark Knight Returns, you'll get a deluxe edition that has the whole thing.
Yeah, a little gritty for your young kids. Definitely, I'd say it's 12 and over. Maybe there's a few swear words, but it's not terrible.
I want to put this out there for any Glee fans out there. This is also the final performance by Naya Rivera, who passed away just shortly after.
I didn't know that.
Recording her lines in a very tragic accident where her and her son were out on a lake. But she is Catwoman. She plays Selena Kyle.
And Catwoman is perfect in this one.
Absolutely.
Catwoman can be done very badly. They either make her kind of, I don't know what, they either make her preachy, which I hate, or they make her too chatty, or they make her, she's cool in this one. She's very... Catwoman is one of those characters that if you don't get the perfect balance, it will ruin the character. Like you said, sometimes she's too preachy, sometimes she's too pompous, sometimes she just won't shut up. Yeah.
But they nailed Selena Kyle in this.
Yeah, this whole thing is great. So definitely check that out. And 5 bat signals up out of 5.
I can agree with that one.
Okay.
Was it better than Batman and Robin movie?
I stubbed my toe, and it was better than Batman and Robin.
Throw this guy out.
I think I saw some commercials that were better than
one of my
that,
all-time faves right there.
Yeah. On that note, that's what you can expect when you walk into Nerd Alert. That type of sarcasm.
Holy rusted metal, Batman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's Halloween weekend, and let's let our guests talk about this first. Since I know you and Brandon, you've been ramping up for Halloween. I'm sure. Right. November 1st is a day of depression for you guys.
No, that's the beginning of a whole news segment.
Okay.
That's when all the candy's 50% off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Tyler, what does Halloween look like for you guys? Because honestly, if you go into Nerd Alert, it looks like Halloween every day, right? I mean,
if you've been to Nerd Alert, it looks exactly like our house. So,
okay. So what part of town do you live in?
Yeah. We live in Germantown.
You fit in really well, don't you?
It's like the Munsters neighborhood, right? When the neighbors come to the door, they're all fancy, and they
1313 Mockingbird Lane.
We're somewhat of a novelty, I think. So
that cracks me up that you live in. For those of you listening outside of Memphis, Germantown is basically like your stuffy kind of. I mean, we like our Germantown listeners,
your upscale suburb.
It's very normal. Let's just put it normal. Yeah. Hardworking people live there.
Very Wonder Bread. Very Wonder Bread.
And you set up camp right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And here is the cinnamon raisin loaf right in the middle. Boom,
yeah, that's funny. So that's its own thing, right? I mean, yeah.
In a sea of bran muffins, be an apple cinnamon.
Well, the kids, one of the kids, my 6-year-old, came home the other day and said, the librarian handed me this book and said, you come from a video game family, so you're really going to enjoy this one. It was about like some pixelated characters and stuff. I'm like, video game family? Like, by looking at us, what do we look like? I don't know what a video game family looks like.
Well, I've seen that Street Fighter logo on the back of your vehicle, so I'm pretty sure you're exactly what they think that you are.
Yeah, and
they just don't know what that means.
Right, and we've kind of maxed out our space at the shop. So now as I'm getting new video games, they're not going straight to the shop. They're coming to my house. So when I open my garage up, all you see is lights and sounds and bleeps and bloops.
Okay, that's what it is. So the neighbors have been walking their dog or jogging in the morning, and they see you out there tinkering with it. Do you fix these yourself? Because, it's interesting. Allan, you helped build these things back in the day.
I probably built some of the machines in his store.
And it's obviously, I doubt you ever buy these things and they work perfectly, or maybe they do. I don't know. But there's probably always maintenance or work, right?
Yeah, there's if you're going to get a perfect game, you're going to pay for a perfect game. So it's a lot easier for me to find things that have issues and force myself to learn how to do it. So I've been doing this for a while, but I still don't know everything. There's the monitors are the hardest to work on because they're old CRT monitors, like old TVs, and that knowledge is slowly dying out with our generation and the older folks. So I watch a lot of videos, I read a lot of forums. There's sometimes one guy on the planet that can fix a certain thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sadly, he doesn't have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, my Street Fighter 3 went down. There's one guy that could repair these things, and I had to send it out to that guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. You know, Brandon, I was in Nerd Alert one time, and I walked in, and Tyler was on the phone. It was kind of I think it was in the middle of the day, so it was like there were some people in the back, and then there was just me in the front, and it reminded me of that movie Wall Street with Gordon Gekko making a deal. You were trying to secure some video game like in Georgia or something, right?
Yeah, there were 3 of them.
You were hardcore. I mean, there was a bidding war. It was right. This is a serious thing, getting hold of these games, right? I mean,
it is. That we talk about. You said you built a bunch of the games down here, but it's really dry down here with games. It's in Chicagoland, a lot of the Midway and those big dogs were up there when they were making their games. So there's a lot of games still laying around up there. I come down here and I have to drive.
Well,
I have to drive far to get any good stuff.
The problem is about 15, 20 years ago, there was a place called Green Games that did nothing but store old video games. It was off of, what was it? It was off of Watkins.
Yeah.
Just a big warehouse. And the guy who owned it died, and they liquidated everything.
Oh.
And it was like, you know,
It
got here earlier.
It would have been your dream come true.
Yeah.
Because when we mean liquidated,
yeah, they were selling
the
cabinets
word's
for like
fire
$100.
sale. Yeah.
Well, Tyler, I've noticed something though, which is interesting. I asked you at the beginning of this. I said, "So what does Halloween look like?" And then you steer the conversation to video games. When I talk to Melissa and I say, "How are the video games?" she steers the conversation to horror and Halloween. Is that kind of how it works? Is she the horror person and you're the gamer nerd?
She's more classic horror, like Universal Monsters, things like that. Elvira. I'm more 80s slasher, Freddy, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm more
So,
in her
so,
camp.
so
like-
which one of you is the medical abnormalities? Because I've seen a lot of that in the store too.
That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's weird.
One of our MCFC staffers, Savannah, would fall in love in that store if I could just convince her to get there.
Yeah. It's interesting though. You know, we'll talk about that when we come back though. If you, I'm not really into horror, but I like half the stuff that you sell in the store. I'd actually want. It's not just the slasher stuff. It's some of the, like you said, the classic monster stuff, or some of the goofy drinks that you get, and all that, like seaweed flavored.
Yeah, bacon, butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of good gifts. Trust me, people. If you go into Nerd Alert, you're gonna find gifts that you can't find, really anywhere else. And you're gonna, like we say, you're gonna have a heavy footprint at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. So we'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Very apropos today. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Tyler Oswald from Nerd Alert. And off the air, boy, Brandon really chastised me and reminded me that I'm not sticking to the script today.
I've come to the conclusion that starting next year and from here on out, Joe takes off Geek Tank for the month of October.
I'm pretty useless because I like Halloween, but I'm not. You guys are hardcore, and we do need to talk about Halloween. Brandon, I'm going to let you lead the discussion here.
Wait, what?
You and Allan, this is your wheelhouse. So
I just want to go ahead and give you both an update that also kind of harkens back to Tool Talk. I put the coffin together this morning.
I was going to ask.
The candy coffin.
The coffin is completely put together. The hinges are on it. It's gorgeous. Joe, your engravings on it came out masterfully.
It's a machine, Brandon. I can't take any credit for it. But
you have to sit there and monitor it, and that in alone
okay
is more patience than I have.
That's true
at all.
Yeah.
yeah, we've got everything set up. I just finished my Purge costume, which
All right.
so it's
So you've been hanging out with Tyler again, I can tell.
I learned how to run LED wires through a mask and
Yes.
not electrocute myself.
Ooh, even better.
So that's a lot of fun.
Wow, that sounds cool.
But yeah, I wanted to just take a moment though and talk about when I was a kid, and you could wear your costumes to school and everything like
Right.
that, and your teachers gave out candy. You can't do half that stuff anymore. Several years back, they kind of banned costumes unless it was homecoming week, but that's changed. I drove past a local elementary school yesterday, and the costumes that these kids were wearing coming out of the school, they would put some of our cosplayers to shame.
Wow.
And I don't know.
Great.
I don't know if it was bought. I don't know if it was handmade. There was a kid wearing like full on Chucky overalls and everything,
Wow.
being chased by a girl who was dressed up like what is the demon character from Death Note, Joe? He's one of your favorites. I can't ever remember his name.
Oh, what, Ryuk or something? Ryuk, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean she's got the long arms that are attached to her. She's holding her. It was so cool.
That's awesome. And representing Death Note.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
So I mean, I miss the old days when we had the little plastic mask and we had the nylon costumes that actually had the picture of the guys.
Where
I
you
never
sweat
wanted
and you
those.
smell and
Yeah.
those are the
Oh, yeah.
worst.
You
Well,
couldn't
Wait,
see
Brandon,
couldn't see anything, but you were expected to walk the streets by yourself because your parents weren't with you back then.
Brandon, what school was this? They definitely deserve a shout out.
I am not going to name the school because I don't want to say it. I think it was Grahamwood.
All right,
I
well-
think it's Grahamwood.
Oh,
but I'm not
Grahamwood's a
sure.
good school. They're good
No,
people
they're
over
an
there.
awesome school. I can't ever
right.
remember if it's Graham or Grahamwood.
Grahamwood Elementary.
Okay,
over
yeah,
at,
yeah.
Summer and what is it? Not Getwell. Graham.
Yeah, Summer and Graham.
Yeah.
Graham becomes Getwell. Anyway, yeah, it's
Good teachers over
It's
there.
over by my bank, so it's
Okay.
the one I
No,
pass all the time.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool to see, full costumes on kids again, which, for the longest time, you don't see stuff like that in school. It was like, kids would get out of school, they got their costume on, they could go trick-or-treating, and then they had to be home before the sun went down,
Yeah.
which was sad. But I mean, I noticed, last year with COVID and everything, that we had kids out in droves in our neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now I'm really excited for tomorrow night because, I don't work Sundays anymore, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, the timing's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, and the weather right now here in Memphis is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I asked people recently on Facebook if you had a certain candy to fill your coffin with, because coming back to the candy coffin we just built, what would your candy be? So I'm going to throw it to Tyler first.
Runts.
Runts?
Oh, I love runts.
Dude,
Best
the,
candy
the,
ever.
The banana is like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, the easy one is the Reese's Cups, the individual ones. You give the kids a handful of those, and then you can eat them yourself if you don't,
Right.
They go with everything. Alan, you could probably bake something with that, right? You could make that into like a pie.
What do you
or
mean
a-
I could?
Yeah, those cookies or something. So yeah.
I've baked cookies, our Snickerdoodle recipe. I've used that and then put Reese's in half of them and then Hershey Kisses in the other.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to know what everybody's standpoint is on candy corn though,
Why do we even make that still?
because there's people who love it.
Because-
Alan, you don't
it's
eat that,
it's an
do you?
Of course I
abomination.
do.
Does anyone actually know anyone who loves them?
Yeah. Actually, I know several
I
candy
mentioned-
corn addicts.
I mentioned
Yeah.
Savannah earlier today. She's one of those candy corn people.
Deviants. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, there's.
But
just-
you eat fruitcake too, Alan, so you're really messed up.
Alan will eat anything, and when there's a full moon, he'll eat you.
Alan's opinion doesn't count in the food realm, but yeah.
Well, no. Because here's the thing: there's a lot of legacy candies out there.
Right.
There's the little orange. Anybody remember the circus peanut? Big giant
God.
orange thing.
Dude.
The
They're still being made. People still eat them. Of all of the Brock's hard candies.
The peanut butter kisses are the death.
There's all these candies. All right, you mentioned the runts. You like but do you like the lime one?
No.
See, there we go.
No.
But guess what's in every package?
Like
Lime.
The lime ones.
like 25% lime.
Okay. All right. How many people like dark licorice?
Yeah, why is that even still made?
You know what? But they still.
And,
all right.
and yet,
But then you look at the sales.
I don't.
No one. You can have 1,000 people in a room, and they'll all go, "Oh, I don't need it. I don't need it."
Well,
but yeah,
No. Here's my biggest question on that, Alan, is we will hear people complain to the end of time about dark licorice, but they like NIs in their coffee or in cakes.
Oh yeah, they love.
And it's the exact same flavor.
Isn't that what Jägermeister is? Dark licorice liquor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never liked that.
But at that
stuff.
point, you don't really care what it tastes like.
Okay.
Well, absinthe. There's a few things that have that star anise-like flavor.
But it makes me want to throw it out to you, Alan. What started the tradition of giving out candy?
Bribery.
To keep the spirits from invading your property.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, give us the history lesson of trick or treating, Alan.
Okay, well,
The short one. I know you get long-winded on this stuff, so
no, you get impatient on this. Let's see what's going to happen.
yeah.
Okay, so let's go with the veil is very thin, and the spirits have re-arised, and da-da-da-da-da. And let's go to, like, Day of the Dead. I love Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Being from very, very, very South Texas.
I thought it was West Texas.
I am.
He changes locations.
Well, I have family in each spot, but being originally from South Texas, Day of the Dead, was not that far away. You kind of drove about 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
These were people dressing up, and you got the whole sugar skull thing and all that. That's kind of invaded the U.S. these days.
Right.
But if you have ever seen a true, we're going to go have lunch with great grandma.
That movie Coco covered that really well. That was a great movie. That was a fascinating movie. Yeah.
But you go watch these people that are celebrating this and they're sitting there having a full-on conversation with the headstone.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there, now, Joe, let me tell you what the kids did this year, and they did this, and they did. I mean, they're just sitting there catching up. So food was a big part of this. Now, in earlier days, when we had the little elves and things like that, we had something called the torta. And the torta was the essence of something. And to keep the little fairies and spirits and things from doing terrible things to your home, you would bribe them. It was kind of like your thought of what to do with ants once upon a time.
Okay.
Joe's kind of like, well, I don't want to kill the ants, so I want to bribe them to go to the other end of the property.
That was an old discussion. So
It was.
Let's not get sidetracked. Yeah.
But-
I was going to set up like a headquarters out in the yard, Brandon, to attract all. It doesn't really work.
But that is part of Halloween, was bribing the little spirits and ghosts and goblins and thingies to not eat your house, burn you down, do terrible things to your barn.
Well, because a lot of the Irish immigrants, we understand because I'm Irish, I can throw ourselves under the bus. When they said trick or treat, the emphasis was on the trick part.
Right.
And it got to criminal vandalism eventually. And then the candy companies came along and said, wait a minute, we can monetize this.
Yeah, guys, remember, we used to bribe the spirits, let's bribe the kids.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're a kid and you're out there thinking, do I want to vandalize a place and possibly
get a
go to
Snickers.
jail or get a sack full of candy? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
There we go.
Good old American capitalism, taking care of business. So
It has saved us on many occasions.
yeah.
And it gave birth to a thriving dental industry.
Yeah, good old. But hey, speaking of good old American capitalism, we got to talk a little bit more about Nerd Alert when we come back. Because I will say this, Tyler, you and your wife Melissa are unique-looking people, but you're at the heart of it. You guys are business
He looks
people.
like you, Joe. He's got a beard and a ball cap. What's so unique?
You wait till he takes the jacket.
He's got a
off.
more popular hoodie than you are. Do a
Anyway,
shirt.
but you guys, like we said, you've got a great store. We want to talk a little bit more about Nerd Alert and also what you're going to be doing at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, because you guys are only a week and a half away, and we have to update everyone.
Have we not canceled that thing yet?
Hey, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Turn off Brandon's mic. Keep yourself together, sir. And
It's
welcome,
the last segment, man.
All right, and welcome, man up. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth.
I just need our audience to tell the station we need 2 hours, man.
Yeah, we probably do. So, and our buddy Tyler Oswald from he runs Nerd Alert. This is his operation. I mean, he's a great entrepreneur. You guys created something that honestly, Brandon, you're in and out of every collectibles shop in Memphis, and this one hits a unique niche.
It really does. You guys, you have filled a hole that we did not know we had here in Memphis. We didn't realize we needed a retro arcade with really awesome horror stickers and collectibles in the front. I mean, I didn't know I would need that in my life until I actually walked into the store.
Well, we only buy things that we would use ourselves. So
Right.
if the shop disappears tomorrow, all that stuff's going in my house. So the games we pick, the toys we get, the shirts we get, if it goes away, we're gonna use it.
You're set.
Yeah.
So you're the Mark Twain of this world. Do what you love until somebody offers you money for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Well,
And then
hey-
take the money.
Yeah, so Tyler, we're going to talk about what's going on at Nerd Alert. Then we're going to update everybody about the convention. But when people walk in, it's immediately you're struck with the look of it. Who's responsible for the front of the store? That's the gift shop, right?
That's my wife.
Okay.
She's a hard worker. I'm more of an overachieving slacker. So
Awesome.
she does not
He
stop
owns it.
working. She
Yeah.
doesn't stop moving. She's always thinking of new things, and I'm always fighting. Like, do I got to do anything today? Like, can I just take a nap? So she's the driving force of the shop. She's the one that keeps us going.
Okay.
Well, before we get into really what you're going to do for us at the MCFC, let's take a minute and talk about the way you've got your store set up as far as the gaming goes. Now, you've got a subscription service kind of deal going on.
Yeah, we've got monthly passes.
Yeah.
So a bunch of local guys they'd walk in, right? Because we're in Cooper Young, so
Right.
there's a lot of houses, a lot of people. They
A lot of foot traffic.
They were coming 3-4 times, every week or so.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we need to do something for the local guys. Like, if you're gonna come 4 times in a week, it's a pretty decent chunk of change.
Right,
So
right.
we do a $35 monthly pass, and you just come in, you wear it around your neck, you come and go as you please. So if you think you're gonna come once a week in a month, it's worth it.
Right.
No kidding. I mean, because I can just tell you this, Tyler. I'm a little older than you and Alan. I mean, you know this too. Remember back in the day when the arcades first came out, you'd get like 2 rolls of quarters, and honestly, you'd burn through $20 in no time. I mean, it was
They had
was
Pac-Man
expensive.
fever.
Yeah, it was awful. It was like a casino for children and stuff. But you guys have your stuff set up to free play.
Yep, it's
basically.
$10. All you can play all day long. So you can come in the morning, pay $10. You can go out to lunch. You can come back and keep playing until 9 o'clock till we close.
It's a good model. I like the monthly pass too, especially.
That's awesome for guys our age. But do you guys have anything set up for the kids? For just your random teen who needs to be off the street kind of deal.
No.
One price, one.
Yeah. We've got all the games are from. My earliest one is 1979 to some games from the early 2000s. So a lot of these games are still relevant in the games that these kids are playing today, like Duck Hunts in Smash Brothers. There's a lot of stuff that they'll recognize from games they're playing now, and I didn't really think the younger kids would be into it, but with Minecraft and they play these games that are all blocky anyway, they come in, they're like, oh, it's just blocky, just like the stuff I'm used to.
Yep.
So it actually appeals more to the younger kids than the teens and the 20-somethings.
Really? See, that's actually really cool to hear because it just reminds me of when I would be stuck at like the Pizza Hut arcade sitting at the little, cocktail table playing either Pac-Man or Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
That was basically it. It's like my parents were in a softball league. Go sit over there while we have our little softball banquet here. And I mean, I'd go through $40 easy playing just video games the whole time.
And it's probably interesting for dads. I'm just thinking if you're a dad that played these kind of games or a mom that played these games when you were a kid and now you're bringing your kids in to play, that's kind of a cool intergenerational thing, right? So
yeah, we've been doing a lot of parties lately too. with COVID, it got difficult for people to want to come out and
Right.
interact with each other. So we do parties, we do private parties. So it's $175, and you get the whole arcade for 2 hours, and we close it down to the public, and it's just who you want in there, and that's really taken off lately.
That's a good price. I'm just thinking of all the money, Brandon, I blew on my kids' parties when I was younger. And they were a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, that just sounds like the perfect thing for me to get rid of the children who hang around my house.
Yeah.
You know, none of them are biologically mine, so it's like, go away.
Yeah.
Go play video games.
Hey, Tyler, tell me about this Christmas thing. You were telling us off air about this is a unique Christmas celebration.
Yeah, we have we're doing a Krampus event at the High Tone. So we're going to be at the High Tone on December 11th from 5 to 10 o'clock at night. And we're going to have a bunch of vendors there. They're going to be selling all their weird goods. It's Christmas but weird, because that's kind of our theme.
Yeah, well, we didn't even mention that, Brandon. The reason you guys are vendors, so you're going to actually be you set up at different horror conventions and different shows, and of course you're going to be set up at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, right? So,
Yep.
so you know what it's like to pack up everything for the weekend and head off, and of course you bring the kids along.
Yeah,
right?
we layer on an extra set of complexities, which we bring our 4 kids to every show. So we've got a big trailer, we pull it up, and we say, okay, kids, now, because they're from 6 to 11 years old, and they know what to do. So now I actually have helpers, and they pull it all out for us.
Child labor.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, good for you. I've never been able to manage to get my kids to help with that stuff. So it's
Well,
like,
you know.
I was of the mindset, okay, go have fun now that you're old enough to walk around, together. And I should have been capitalizing on the free labor.
See,
man.
Joe was just like, y'all go have fun and get out of my hair, and now he has no hair.
Yeah, good point. So Krampus is like the Klingon Santa Claus.
I'm
right?
like, this is going to be a great, bring your children down to be beaten with switches. All right, we'll put them in a bag for you. They'll straighten up in no time.
Well, I will say too, if you go and do Nerd Alert, there's a nice. It's pretty family friendly in there. Honestly, you're dealing with monsters and stuff, but you've got Pee Wee Herman in there. Pee Wee Herman's well
there's family
represented.
friendly.
That's disturbing, but no, you've got kind of the classic Wolfman and things like that mixed with the heavy duty ones. Right?
Yeah, we want to be family friendly. We've got 4 kids. There's not a lot of places like ours for kids to go.
Right.
We're trying to get people out of their basements too. Like, kids have been hooked up to the internet for so long, they don't know what it is to play standing next to somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get this. You get this feeling in your gut when you're standing next to somebody actually playing against them.
Yeah. There's an energy that comes about.
There really
that.
is.
Yeah. And there's different isn't there different there's a different dynamic when you're playing in public.
There is a different level of trash talk when you're at an arcade than there is
Right.
when you're sitting on the other side of your Call of Duty screen.
Yeah, it's a lot less, right?
lot
More
less.
civilized.
I've
right?
seen at least 15 fights break out because of Street Fighter 2.
Well, that's Street Fighter 2. That there's a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to figure out how you guys navigate this, and this is actually relevant to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. In my day, the etiquette, basically, video gaming etiquette was like, if you want to be next, you put your quarter on the machine, and most people were pretty good about the fact that, okay, well, it's your turn next. Well, how do you do that if it's set to free play? Like, how do you claim the next round? So
people don't tend, when you don't put quarters into a game, you're not as committed, right?
Okay.
So we've got enough games that we've got plenty of games for people to float around to. So we don't really have people waiting in line for one title. And people are pretty polite. Like, they'll drop off if they're on too long and there's a kid standing behind and waiting.
do you monitor it though? Because
I don't.
Some people might lose track. They
Right.
get too engrossed in Galaga or something, and they're
Well, then it becomes a spectator sport.
I
Because
guess
if you
so.
got somebody totally just slamming Galaxians to the wall,
Yeah.
If you've got
then you
someone-
got 8 people behind them rooting you on watching.
That's true.
when it comes down to it, if we're not playing, we want to see you flip the score.
That's true. Yeah.
We really do.
Do people still write like because if you get the high score, you get to write your name on there?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's only initials. Do people still write like the crude?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, every day when I go in and I turn the arcade off, you could see the high scores, like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All the good
You're
ones.
real cute.
Yeah.
Good for you, buddy. So okay. Well, hey, let's shift gears. Tell us about what we're gonna see. You're gonna have 2 setups. You're gonna have a room, right, Brandon? He's got a room dedicated to video games, and you're gonna have your vendor booth. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
He's got a spot to set up. It's where we normally have our digital gaming because they are our digital gamers this year. And then you guys will have a fairly large footprint in the vendor room as well, don't they, Joe?
Yeah. So what's your So what does the setups look like? Tell us about that.
We've got when we do conventions, we bring a really good mix of stuff from the front of the shop to sell. A lot of horror stuff, a lot of pop culture stuff. We like to do weird. We bring the candies and the sodas and those things. I've got an excess of games this year that I can't all fit in the shop, so I should be able to bring a pretty decent size amount of games over. Yeah.
So what's the preference? Because Brandon, there's what do they call them? When you sit, like if you're playing Pac-Man and it looks like a table and you're playing or something, but versus the cabinet style. What
is that? The cocktail table?
Cocktails. Yeah, no. Yeah. The other ones are just called uprights. So.
Yeah. Those are probably easier to maneuver, right? To get them in the hotel.
Yeah, and they're kind of more of a spectacle too. You don't see them as much as you see the uprights, so people gravitate to them, especially the Pac-Man one, because everyone remembers a Pac-Man being in their local Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. And I will say this, people, with the possible restrictions on capacity and everything, it's a really good idea to get your tickets now. Go to memphiscfc.com. The convention is the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, November 12th through 14th. Brandon just posted the programming schedule. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of activities designed to be a lot of fun, but also keep people a little bit more spread out.
Right,
so.
And I also want to go ahead and throw this in there real quick. Our Sunday, outside of Let's Make a Deal, our Sunday is open for what we refer to as MCFC Underground.
Yeah.
If you just want to do a gathering with your friends in one of the rooms and talk about the weirdest animes that you've ever seen, you can now put that on a Sunday schedule in one of our rooms.
And premium room.
And invite everybody to come check it out.
Yeah, we want to empower people on Sunday.
We want to make sure, we want to see what you guys would want to put on. And who knows, maybe next year it'll go to the official schedule.
Yeah, so check it out, memphiscfc.com. Get your tickets now. They're very affordable, very family-friendly, and our buddies Tyler and Melissa from Nerd Alert are going to be there. So, hey, Tyler, real quick, what's your address at Nerd Alert?
It's 1061 South Cooper Street in Memphis.
Check it out, people. It's awesome. So, but time waits for no one. We've got to get out of here. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Tyler Oswald.
I'm Maximilian.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, challenging you to find my house so you can get all this candy out of my possession.
Stalkers.